Welcome to our very first episode of Our Lakes, Our Stories, the podcast dedicated to celebrating the people, places, traditions, and everyday moments that make Lakes of the North such a special place to call home. I'm Tom Clemenson, and whether you're joining us from right here in the community or checking in from downstate or following along somewhere around the country, we're glad you're here. This show was created by members for members, and really for anyone who loves our corner of northern Michigan. Every episode will bring you community updates, local events, conversations with people helping shape the future of Lakes of the North. Stories from around the neighborhood and those simple up-north moments that remind us why we all keep coming back. This community has always been more than just a destination. It's campfires and conversations, it's weekend traditions, friendly faces at the clubhouse, golf rounds that last a little longer than planned. It's generations of families making memories together, and we wanted to create a place where those stories can live on. On today's inaugural episode, we've got a packed show for you. First, we'll take you around the lakes, community events, some things coming up. It's a busy spring, and we want to make sure you know what's going on around here. Then we're going to sit down with Lakes of the North General Manager Jim Duffy for a look ahead at the year to come, including projects, improvements, and what you can expect this season. We'll also share an up-north moment from Bob that perfectly captures the spirit of life here in northern Michigan. And then later, we'll spotlight the Lakes of the North art community with Cheryl from the Lona Art Showcase. So whether you're listening from the deck, the golf cart, or maybe driving up north for the weekend, we want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. This is Our Lakes, Our Stories, and it all starts right now. This is our segment Around the Lakes, your quick look at what's happening in and around Lakes of the North, and we've got a busy couple of weekends ahead. We'll start this Friday, May 8th, with the Friday night fish fry at Settings Restaurant. Then on Saturday morning, we've got the men's meeting. That's at Settings, and you can check that out at 9 a.m. You go in for the meeting and stick around for a delicious breakfast menu. Also on Saturday, if you're a nature lover looking for a day trip, you can check out the Elk Rapids Bird Walk at 8 a.m. at the Edward C. Grace Memorial Harbor. Saturday night, it's time to get the mic. Karaoke at Settings starts at 8:30, featuring TNT Entertainment. And of course, Sunday is Mother's Day, so make sure to wish her a happy Mother's Day and celebrate with some brunch down at Settings. A great way to enjoy the afternoon together. Also Sunday, the Social Activities Committee potluck is happening at Campers Village. Now that potluck is every second Sunday. You just bring your own place setting and a dish to pass. If you want more information, you can contact Sherry Mallon at gmail.com. Sherry Mallon at gmail.com. Looking ahead to next weekend, Friday, May 15th, Lakes of the North has got their town hall at 7 p.m. at the clubhouse. Saturday morning, it's the Board of Directors meeting at 9 a.m. And then the member par 3 shootout at the Lakes of the North Golf Course, a 4:30 p.m. shotgun start, 2-person scramble format, and spots are limited, so get a hold of the golf course soon. And don't forget, every Thursday is the Mansalona Farmers Market at the Pavilion on State Street, right next to the railroad tracks. Finally, mark your calendar. 70th Annual Bass Festival starts May 21st, and that is your Around the Lakes update. If you've got events, announcements, or community news you'd like to share, send them our way. As we head into another busy season here at Lakes of the North, there's a lot happening across the community, from facility improvements and seasonal preparation to events, amenities, and projects designed to enhance the member experience. Now, behind much of that day-to-day work is an association staff and management team responsible for keeping operations moving and helping bring the community's vision to life. For our very first episode, we wanted to make sure we had a chance to sit down with somebody who's got a front row seat to all of it. We had a chance to talk with the Lakes of the North General Manager, Jim Duffy, earlier this week for a conversation about the year ahead, ongoing improvements around the community, and what you can expect this season, and the role the management and staff play in supporting the community every day. Here's our conversation with Jim.
So it's been a hot minute since we've been able to sit down and talk. Almost a year, Jim. A lot has happened in the last year. You want to kind of take me through what that's entailed for you and your staff.
Gosh, it was a great year. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into capital projects in a little bit, but we accomplished a lot last year from a culture perspective. We accomplished a lot from a leadership perspective. We found the right leaders to put into our organization. The job has gotten a lot easier over the year as you put great leadership into different pieces of the organization. Then it just becomes oversight. It becomes the opportunity to congratulate folks for a great job, and everybody's focused on the same mission, right? The mission is to keep the organization, from operating in the black, and to keep the membership top of mind, meaning that we're here for one reason. Every amenity is here for the same reason. So organizing that same thought process in every one of the leaders that works here. I think if anything we accomplished last year it was really, really finding the best leaders that we probably have ever had in this organization in each part of the organization.
When you look for somebody, Jim, what are a couple of the key things that you're looking for in a manager, regardless of which amenity or which aspect of your business that you're looking to hire?
So when we have a conversation, I want to hear how important environment and culture is to them. As a leader of, let's say, the restaurant, you're accountable for their culture. You're accountable for their work environment. I also want to hear that this is a member services organization, right? And I want to hear that's something that's in your DNA, that you're here to serve the membership. My old job was about hospitality. This is about serving a very larger group from a membership perspective. And then I want to hear that you have flexibility, because this doesn't stay the same all the time. Our businesses are weather dependent, so there are going to be times where we're banging when there's snow on the ground, and we get a little thin ground out there in the wintertime. And how do we adjust? How does that work? And then I want to know from them, what kind of people are they going to look for when they're hiring, right? Because they're the top line. The next line down has got to be just as important. They all have to be able to function inside of that notion that we expect a great culture, we expect you to be a part of a great environment, and we expect you to deliver on our promise as it relates to taking care of our members and our guests, for that matter. The restaurant and golf course have a lot of public use, so driving that repetitiveness in both of those functions is important.
Well, it's not just the feel that is noticeably more welcoming. Visually, the grounds look fantastic. I mean, we've just talked to Darren a little while ago, and they're hitting it hard out on the golf course. But last year was a busy year for capital projects. You want to hit on some of that?
Yeah, you know what? There were so many of them that I actually brought the capital budget from last year, because we accomplished a lot. We started off with just over $900,000 in capital, which was a spectacular year for us. With some of the rollover money we had that the board allocated to capital, which we appreciated them for that. We started out with a pretty giant project last year. The pool roof was incredibly compromised. We had done the north side the year before, and it was a giant project, and it was a giant mess, quite frankly. The second year we attacked the south side roof, but we knew what we were doing the second year, which was last year. Along with that had to come the inner skin to the pool roof. Replacing that inner skin was going to be a challenge, because it had to be coordinated with them finishing the south side and then getting done fast enough so we didn't close the pool for a long period of time. Right. Again, keeping the members in mind when it comes to a project. The pool's an important area. It draws a lot of folks. So that was the biggest project we had right at the beginning. We got cool stuff like some new golf carts last year. One of the big projects here was renovating the bathrooms in the restaurant. I mean, these bathrooms were, for lack of a better word, they were disgusting. Somebody decided to put wood wall covering in a bathroom, behind a urinal or behind toilets. I mean, being in the restaurant business, bathrooms should be tiled from floor to ceiling. They're easier to clean. So we were able to get a company in. They knocked the bathroom out in well under the timeline that we asked them for. They came in about $3,000 under budget, so we were in good shape from that perspective. the roof project going back to it came in at about $8,000 a year budget. Okay, once we were done with the project. Lake Cheryl, we finished up the bathrooms last year, and then we attacked the outside. So the maintenance team sided it. Then we hired a company to pull all that old shake off of it, and it was pretty bad underneath. So from, we were able to remedy that with some vinyl shake.
Okay.
And it looks spectacular. We've got a lot of compliments about Lake Carroll, the building, and I think at this point, because the inside's in pretty good shape, now that the outside's remedied from the roof all the way to the floor line, Lake Carroll's in good shape for us for the next 15 to 20 years, I would say.
Excellent.
At least from an exterior perspective.
Yeah.
We got our last playground set in at Campers Village, so we've got 2 new play sets out there. Those came in well under budget. The Lake Harold project came in well under budget. We had the old bathhouse in as a project, and we were getting bids well beyond what we had anticipated that it would cost. We don't want to put a ton of money into that building. It's very likely at one point or another, we're going to have to tear that building down and put a new bathhouse there.
Okay.
It's one of our oldest buildings. But the maintenance team took upon themselves to take the project on for the winter. They came in right at budget. Okay. For both the overhaul in that bathroom, and we'll post some pictures online here this week of what that looks like. The campers are starting to see it now as they show up, and the pavilion bathroom we remodeled in the same way. They both just look beautiful. It looks like it was something that you just built it yesterday. So, but that's the talent of our maintenance team. We've got plumbers, we've got electricians, we've got all kinds of stuff on the maintenance team. And they asked for the project. Aside from that, we had all the equipment we needed last year, which was about $350,000 worth of equipment for the maintenance team, which isn't just for the golf course. And we have 15 square miles of property, right? So, we needed a ton of equipment that has fallen behind. The thing that drives us, and the thing we try to keep note of, is the reserve study that we did, right?
Right.
And it earmarks all of that equipment, but we're behind about a year in the reserve study. So with the advent of the money in the capital budget last year, we were able to pull in all the equipment that we were behind. So Darren and his team were given better tools, if you will. And then the last thing we did was here at the restaurant, we pulled the old deck out. We put in a pavilion and a patio that has been immensely popular with the folks that, especially after golf. We got a ton of people sitting outside. We've got a bar out there that we didn't put to great use last year, but our intent this year is to try to keep folks coming off the turn from having to come in the building. They can be serviced right outside.
Yeah.
But so the litany of that was, we were about $735,000 in projects. We had reserved money finally. We reserved some money into the capital reserve fund. And all in all, we came in about $26,000 better than budget in all projects.
That's incredible.
It was a great year for capital.
And you've got another big year planned this year.
We do. Oh, we passed it. Well, we had passed the assessment. So as we grow, that $48 we put in the assessment stays in capital. And then this year we threw another 2% on top of that. So, the capital budget for this year, which I brought up, is it's lengthy as well. That capital budget is posted online. You can see it. It's so from a transparency perspective, you can see what we're going to work on this year and how much money we started with, right? So we started with about $1.2 million this year with rollover from capital and with the rollover that the board set aside for capital. And again, we appreciate them for that. We still had the loan on the clubhouse for about another year and a half. I think it's 2 years, May of 28, that loan goes away. The tractor loan is done now, and the truck loans are gone. So we're in pretty good shape from that perspective. This year in our list that we pulled out of the Superior Reserve Study, we've got recarpeting the clubhouse, which is long overdue.
Yeah.
It's 10 years old. A lot of traffic on a carpet for 10 years is a long time. In my old job, we were about 5 or 6 years in replacing carpet. So the carpet project has been set up already. It'll be happening in September. The irrigation pumps for the golf course was a really big deal. We had to order those a year ahead of time to get them here. They arrived last week. Company came out and installed the pumps. Now we're just waiting on Great Lakes Energy to come out and energize it. That was an enormous project. That project came in right around budget. We added a few dollars to it as we wanted to put in a system where we can actually manage irrigation system from somebody's telephone.
Oh, wow.
So if it's rain, it's got so storm going on, Darren can just go on his phone and turn off the irrigation system. If we've got a hot spot somewhere, he can throw an extra zone on, with his phone. So it is state of the art. We've got an electrician out there right now rewiring the room because it's antiquated. It's 20 years old. The electrical box looked like it was 50 years old. So he's got somebody out there working on that, and then we'll have Great Lakes Energy come out and energize it. It sounds like sometime either Monday or Tuesday we'll have water pumping on the golf course. We ordered 16 golf carts this year. We sold 5 immediately when they showed up. We recouped $10,000 off the 5 carts that we sold. So that was a good deal. We decided to go to above ground fuel tanks. It's just becoming time that our in-ground fuel tanks are old enough. We need to start worrying about them.
Yeah.
We had them inspected last year. They said they were fine, but we decided to go with above ground fuel tanks this year. We ordered them. They're already here. As we were able to jump on it as soon as the budget was approved. And those tanks came in, we were looking at something a little more expensive. We were advised that there was a better tank for a lot less money. So we came in about almost $20,000 better than budget for the whole tanks.
Okay.
The carpet's coming in probably right at budget. I forgot to mention that. And then we ordered a new beverage cart. We've got some ladies out there who rocked the beverage cart last year. The beverage cart did about $40,000 in sales last year. It did 15 the year before. So the difference here is we took the beverage cart from the pro shop and gave it to the restaurant manager. So you're in charge of the beverage cart.
Okay.
So she, there's never a day when we're on the loaded golf course where we won't have one out. And now we refurbished the springs and everything on the old one. We'll have 2 carts, one on each side.
Wow.
Most golf courses have more than one beverage cart, but it's here, and the girls were excited to see it. It came in about $1,000 better than budget. We're going to renovate the golf course bathrooms now. Those will take a minute.
Okay.
We got to get water on in there first, which hopefully, again, we'll have by next Monday. But the maintenance team is going to take that project on. He doesn't particularly like people wandering around on this golf course. So, and I don't blame.
We talking about Darren?
We're talking about Darren. He loves his golf course. So yeah, so the maintenance team will take those out. We're going to re-side them, re-roof them. We're going to, fix all the fascia boards, and then inside we want all new fixtures, and then probably some type of an epoxy on the floor so that it's not just a concrete floor. They are open air bathrooms. They're open air at the top. There's no heat in them, but they should look better. I mean, if we're gonna up our game here at the golf course, so we need to up our game all the way around. So expect those to be done, I would say, midsummer. Once he breaks loose of all the work he's doing now, and potentially finds a few more guys to work with him. We've got a couple of projects. Those projects are already in the works. So we're already. I mean, it's only May, and we only had four projects left in the capital budget to start, and it's only May. So we are probably gonna move the basketball court. We're gonna move it over to the auxiliary parking area by the playground at Lake Harold.
Okay.
We're just gonna recover that and then make it a little bit bigger. And then, I think the basketball court itself is probably a little bit dangerous. And, we got a couple of corners that are about 3 feet off the ground. And, if you go off that side over there, I think people are very careful when they play up there. So they'll give them a flat ground, give them a new surface, and get on and find out who's going to ball out there.
Okay.
We got money in the budget to refurbish the pavilions. So like Lake Harold's pavilion, we don't need a new one, but we probably use a new roof. It's got some shake on it, probably painted inside, all new lighting, things like that. So we set some money aside to go after that pavilion, as well as this pavilion here has a little bit of work left to do on it. We've got to put a roof on the inside of it, put ceiling in. The restaurant dining renovation is going to be an interesting project. So the restaurant did very well last year. It finished the year higher than we thought for sure.
Okay.
That number hasn't been finished yet, and the budget hasn't been approved for that yet. But it's a big number.
Okay.
So we're going to put some of that money back into the restaurant this year and next year. This year we already have all new tables and all new chairs. They look beautiful. We bought butcher block top tables. And all the chairs in the whole restaurant match now. So everything looks like it should. We're probably going to do something in the bar area with the two windows, or we're probably putting some type of a garage door system in the windows. As outside of those windows is going to be a patio, you'll be able to go up and sit at those windows on both sides.
Okay.
So you'll be able to sit on either inside or outside at the windows and be serviced that way. We'll have a few tables and some umbrellas out there. On the back side out here where the pavilion is, we're going to take that all the way up to the cart path with some stamped concrete. We're going to put a few more tables out there again with some umbrellas, and try to, it's a beautiful place to sit outside in the summer. And we've got a good space under the pavilion, but it's limited. It gets full quick, and then there's nowhere to sit. So we want to push people outside if we can. The inside will always be available, but this is a beautiful place to sit outside. It is. And if I can avoid being indoors, I do. So that project started already with the furniture, and we've got working on some contractors for the bids for the rest of that project. We had two pieces of equipment that Darren needed. They need a new top dresser and a new goosen, a blower. They have one, they need two. I mean, it takes them forever at the end of the season to clean up the leaves. So he's got his two pieces of equipment. We did talk about setting aside money for the reserve study, but we did talk to the folks that did the last reserve study, and they really think we should wait the 5 years. At a minimum, he sent me a nice review that I could do. We've gone through the review, and we're in pretty good shape from a reserve study perspective. Like I said, we caught up pretty quick. And we pulled a few projects in from a couple of years out, like this restaurant project is pulled in from a year out.
Okay.
So we're able to do that. And really, we were able to do all of that because the membership came together and passed that assessment, as a community. And we're going to start to learn what it means to pass an assessment and to have a management team that puts all the money back into what they said they were going to do. And we are in great shape from that perspective. And that's about it. We'll have about $636,000 worth of budgeted projects, and currently we think we're going to end up somewhere about $20,000 or $30,000 better than budget by the end of the year. The best thing about the capital budget, if you look at the budget that's online, there's a reserved amount, about $325,000 that we'll reserve this year. Oh, yes, we'll put that in reserve, and we haven't reserved that kind of money in a long time. So, and we have excellent tools to reserve money in right now. Our finance director is started using T-bills and things of that nature that are much higher return. And if we're able to have money that we don't need right away, that we could set it up for 1 or 2 years worth of invest.
Yeah.
So the budget looks great. The good news is going forward, when we approve next year's capital budget, we'll approve a 3-year budget. Okay. I've never been in a business where we only did capital 1 year at a time.
Right.
It's hard, especially with like the pumps. We had to order them 8 months out. The fuel tanks, we had to order them out a little ways. So, in order for us to make sure that, we're not going back and, adding extra tasks or extra angst to the board, we're able to look out at our projects now for a 3-year period. We're not going to pull any in from the other 2 years that, the year we're in, but we'll at least be able to look out and say, all right, we need to order the golf carts in November. We need to order, there are things that have to be ordered in the previous year. And until a capital budget is approved, then it's kind of hard to do those things.
Right.
So with a 3-year look, now we can look out and be able to plan 3 years out. And anything that I have to give the maintenance team, he'll be able to plan 3 years out. Say, which of these projects do you think your team wants? Because they want a piece of most of it. Anything that has to do with the golf course, he wants a piece of. He is very, I want to come in under budget. I want to come in under budget. He's very much that guy. So if he has projects that his team can accomplish, then we'll do it.
Yeah.
Last year they accomplished right at the end of the year, they hit the roof at Pencil Lake. And they saved us about $2,500 putting that roof on themselves. So it's the plan for this year looks great. The plan for the next 3 years is going to look fantastic. Once the board approves that next year, you'll be able to see 3 years worth of capital. And again, the membership will be able to see their money at work. It's important that they see their money at work.
Yeah. All those financials you post online.
For all the financials are posted. Once the board approves them, they get posted in a member site so they can go and see them. they can be intimidating at times when you look at an income statement. If you're not a business person, you don't know what you're really looking at. The cash flow sheet is pretty self-explanatory. Kind of gives you an idea where we're at from what we've spent, what our budgets were, and where we're at if we're under or over budget. That's a good sheet to look at. But they're available to the members to look at. And I think it's important that if you've invested in your property here and you've invested in being a member here, that you should go and look at them.
Yeah, that's, you talk a lot about the member experience. Even with these capital projects, every single one of those with, some tie-in to the member experience here, whether it's maintenance equipment to keep this golf course looking beautiful, which again, I mean, you can just tell at this point in the spring, it is going to be fantastic this year at play. So
I hate to say it, but 3 feet of snow sitting on all winter is magic.
okay.
Stick your 3 feet of snow sitting on it is magic.
Yeah. So when we talk about that customer experience, how does that sort of translate to your staff, right? You find the right management team. How does that work at the next level down?
So each manager, we have manager meetings in my office, but each manager is hired and then understands that, when I took this job, I didn't feel a sense of we were here for the right reason. So, we started with the office. We started with, the restaurant, but we started working through every person that works here, that you're here for a reason. While you're here to make a great income, because, our folks at this point now are doing very well because of what they've done with the restaurant, what we've done with the golf course. But you have to be here to serve our membership. Everything here is membership driven. If there was no membership and there was no association, quite frankly, I'm not sure, the only thing that might be here is a golf course and the restaurant. So it's important that everybody that works here, our new manager in the campground, Erica, our new manager she's not new anymore, the restaurant manager, Ava, everybody knows her. And now our brand new golf pro who is doing an incredible job for us. Noah, yeah, I call him Mr. Golf. Because, and if he got golf in his blood, you're going to experience golf at Lakes of the North now. You're going to experience, the bag drop area. You're going to experience people getting you ready on your cart. You're going to experience, a starter starting you off and sending you off to the course. You're going to see marshals on the weekend driving the course and making sure that we don't have, we don't have a lot of rigmarole going on the golf course, slowing the golf course down.
Yeah.
Because he's got some expectations and I love it, and we hire everybody again. When we had the conversation during their hiring, it's do they fit with what we're looking for, and if they can answer all the questions right, then they're probably the best leader. I'm not gonna lie, we got really lucky with all of our leaders that they were able to come to us and we were able to find a good home for them. But finding a golf pro after the mess that we had last year, quite frankly, we struggle. So as long as what I say to them continues to be consistent from this is why we're here. Don't forget why we're here, right? Because sometimes it gets clouded. Sometimes in the office it gets really tough, right? Not everybody's nice to us when they come in, but at the end of the day, that was one person. Don't let it shape the rest of your day. Remember the next person coming in needs. Right. So I think that's where it kind of starts.
Where do you, what kind of feedback have you gotten from your staff as far as that member experience? Because I've never had an issue walking into the office, the management office.
I'll tell you that, but they were afraid at the beginning. Yeah. When I said, we're going to open the doors, we're pulling all the covers off the windows, people are allowed to come in. And when they walk in, now we have somebody sitting at the door who greets everybody that walks in.
Right.
And we want to know where do you need to go? Who do you need? And then after that, they go see who they need. You got accounts payable, you got accounts receivable, you got sales and property in the back, you got liens and foreclosures and everything else going on in the back right corner. But who do you need to see, right? And then, the feedback I've got for the office is they were terrified at the beginning because apparently they had some moments where it was real contentious here. Sure. And we may have brought that on ourselves. I don't know. But now with the way that we approach people and everything that we've done outside of that office has brought people into the office who come in, and people walking in my door constantly who just poke their head in and say, "Thanks for doing a great job. Keep it up."
I've also heard, though, Jim, you're pretty proactive in diffusing friction points. Like you hear or see something out there, whether it's social media or whatever. I hear stories all the time about Jim has called them in and wanted to understand where they were coming from.
I think it's important that we remember that we may have created some of that in the past. I mean, it may have come from us. I don't know. But what I want to understand is, why do you still feel that way? Have you not come and seen what we're doing, right? And we have. We've brought people into the office. I've come and met them here. I've met people in the restaurant to sit down and have lunch and talk to them about, especially, people that may have been very divisive. And honestly, I think some of the people that come in the office now, the girls still look up and they're just pleasant. The folks are pleasant. They're there for the right reason. Usually they're there to see me, but they check in the office first. But yeah, I think, escalating things is never the right way to go. It's always about de-escalation and bringing things down and bringing the temperature down. We talked about that last year when you and I were together, but keeping the temperature down now is important.
That leads us into something else, though, and again, you're limited, but one of the things that we talked about, and it's talked about in many organizations, is transparency. Obviously there's Privacy Act. So there's some things you can't be transparent about. If you're disciplining an employee, for example, that's one of those things that would be covered. What do you do from an operations standpoint to be as transparent as you could be with the membership?
Well, I think as we talked earlier, it's important that let's talk about, if we go back to capital, we're spending a lot of their money, right? They set their money aside. They trusted us with the improvement in the assessment. Last year, as projects were done, we photographed them. We put out a nice message about them, who got the project done, giving some accolades out to the folks that got the work done, right? Because you got a lot of great vendors that work for us here. And making sure that, because I don't know that they ever saw that before, but they saw just about every project as it was done last year. And they'll get the same thing this year. We've already got some projects that are almost done, and we've got some great photographs of some of the work that we already had done. So we're going to post those here shortly. Like I said, finances, once finances are approved by the board, they're posted. There's nothing to not glean from our finances. If you can understand them when you look at them, there's nothing hidden in those numbers. So I think from a transparency perspective, there's not a lot more that we can give out from an operations perspective. There are things, though, that are privileged. There's information that I have in my office that's privileged, and when people come in and they want to see things like that, they very clear with them that it's privileged, and then there's a reason it's privileged, and up to the point where I'm not even going to explain to you what it is and why it's privileged, right? So, knowing that in every organization there are things that at one point may be shared, but at one point they may be privileged. So, yeah. And there's not a lot of that.
We're talking mostly personal information.
A lot of personal stuff, anything that has to do with talking to our attorneys, things like that, until such time that we can disclose what it was. And I think at one point or another, everything has been disclosed. But it's not a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff that happens around here, we share openly with the members as often as we can. I think town halls were a great example of answering questions, at least from my side, from the operations side, and I've watched the board do it as well. Answer questions, and I don't think we walk away from too many town halls with any unanswered questions.
Right.
So I think it's important for us to continue to talk to our membership. Remember, there's 5,000 of them, and not all of them have seen everything. Right. There's still folks that think that they don't even know who I am. So, I might be living under a rock.
Well, maybe our lakes, our stories will.
I think it's a wonderful. I love the Our Lakes, Our Stories. I think that's fantastic because it is truly. You think about all the time that people who've lived here, that's going to resonate with them greatly.
Well, one of the gets that we're really working for is to get Bob to talk about his bears and his raccoons and how that both. I tell you, it's something to look forward to. I'm not a big Facebooker, but whenever I get on there and I see one of his videos, and he's got a great one right now with a sow and 3 cubs, And man, it's great. And then to go out there and talk with him is always a good time.
And he comes into the office. For a while, he was coming in quite regularly because we got him into the gym. So you need to get in here and start walking on that treadmill. So he was in for a while, and we're excited to see him every day. And I'm not sure he's, the weather is broke now, so he's not locked into his house in the wintertime. So he's probably out there looking for the bears. But I love Bob's stories. I think his segment would be fantastic. His stories go all the way back.
Oh, for sure. Now, maybe not as long in terms of their longevity or whatever, but you've got staff with some stories. I mean, you got any, I don't want you to have to, list out anybody or anything, but staff that's gone above and beyond. Like, do you see that on a regular basis? And is there one that maybe stands out to you?
I think about the team in the office and the team in the restaurant. The restaurant has the most exposure to the public.
Sure.
So things that happen in here are, unfortunately, we lost a team member a few months back, and it was interesting to see the whole team come together and want to really take care of that family. And the community came together as well. So this was a great gathering place. And I think about those things. When I think about the team in the office, and we've had an on and off relationship with the committees. Sometimes they're real active, sometimes they fall away, sometimes they come in. But the team in the office never allow an event to go away. Never allow, the parade down at Lake Harold on 4th of July. Last year was spectacular.
Right.
So I think about them, and I would have to call them out as a team because it's not just one person.
Right.
They coalesce as a team. And then in here, it's really driven by Ava. Ava has a serving mentality. She's got a very warm soul. And I think when it comes to reaching out to the community, it's just never a moment where you don't hear something. People bring her things in here constantly. There's a lady that made her an Afghan. There's another one that brings her cakes, and just, she's done things for people that are unseen. Nobody really knows about.
Yeah.
But, so I would say that between the team in the office and what happens in here, I think those are the people that go above and beyond, and it makes you proud.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we see the result of the maintenance crews work every year out here on the golf course, and
we call them the unsung hero. Oh man, frankly, nothing will happen in this community if we don't have them.
Yeah.
No, everything would come to a grinding halt without the maintenance.
Yeah.
And there's no question.
Yeah.
And Darren is our AGM. He's our maintenance manager. He's our airport manager. Wears about 6 different hats, but he's committed to being here.
Yeah.
He just took a short time off because he knows that he probably won't see any time off through the entire summer. He's got a lot going on right now, but he's like our unsung hero. And we try to talk about the maintenance team as often as we can, but they are out here early. They get here at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And, people are like at 2 o'clock or 2:30. Hey, we're trying to get hold of maintenance. So I said, well, they're probably home in bed. Yeah, they're probably sleeping. But we call them the unsung heroes of the Lakes of the North.
Yeah. And you got Erica over there with that hidden gem we know is Kaler's Village.
What a personality. Holy cow. I've never had her walk into my office without a big smile on her face and agree. And then she always brings me something to eat, which I'm not sure is a great idea. But she always brings me something to eat. But yeah, she has the Campers Village is a family, right? It absolutely is. And she has that mentality that this is a family. She's also got a tough job. That's a large group of people to make sure that we're following the rules, and that, you don't want anything to happen to anybody out there either. There's some after dark rules that should be in place. There's a lot of things, and it's hard to hold a hard line with things that are policy, and then be the person that says, come on, we're having a community bonfire tonight. Let's all hang out.
Yeah.
Right. So, in the good news, she lives there.
Yeah.
She lives there from April 1st through December 1st. She lives on site. She's the person out there in her boots, cleaning up sticks and driving around, raking up leaves and doing all those things. She's been in my ear about turning the water on this. So we're not ready to turn the water on yet. We had a frost this morning. Yeah, well, now.
Well, they got community garden. I do think that, oh my God, last year.
And this year they're going to expand it a little bit. They want to put, I heard watermelons and pumpkins out in the outfield on the other side of the right field. And, that's awesome stuff. That's just, when you talk about people coming together as a community, I think of Campers Village being their own community inside of a community, really.
Yeah.
And again, another group of folks that were instrumental in getting the assessment passed last year.
Absolutely.
And we're going to pump money into the campground, right? We did the bathroom, the old bathhouse this year was a disaster. It really was. And it looks wonderful now. And we didn't have to put a bunch of money into it because we're afraid at one point or another that building is going to have to be replaced. And then the pavilion bathroom was, somewhere where you go to the bathroom. Okay, next year we'll work on the pavilion kitchen area. We're going to probably replace all of that next year. But it's a large group of people who spend a lot of money at Lakes of the North, and we should be rewarding the campground with just as much amenity improvement as the golf course gets, or that the restaurant gets, that the clubhouse certainly gets. We're fully aware of their needs out there at this point and have it mapped out for the next 3 years.
Let me just, for one final thing, Jim, if there's one thing you could have members walk away from this discussion, and we'll obviously be the last, and we'll talk to some of those managers you mentioned, in the coming weeks, but what's one thing you want to make sure that members walk away from today before we have a chance to sit down and talk again?
Yeah, I think, every so often something pops up in the organization. It doesn't affect a lot of people, but it's a divisive conversation. It's a divisive topic. From an operations perspective, we don't really get into any of that. It's not really our role is to take, board decisions and roll with them. And, there's no discussion at the office level whether they're right or wrong. We have to get them done. What I want the community to know is, regardless of what's happening in the association, whether it affects a small group of people or a large group of people, that from an operations perspective, we're still going to do our jobs. We're still going to be here because we don't have a focus of this group of members or this group. It's everybody. We have 5,000 members that we have to make sure that each one of them is in front of mind as we're doing things, right? So knowing that I have the right leadership team in place, knowing that I can count on each of them now, sitting them together in a room is hysterical. To see the different personalities going back and forth, to watch Ava and Noah, grow immediately together as a team, because this building operates as you have to be a team to make it work.
Right.
So walking away, I think the members should know that we had a fantastic year last year. We're going to be off to a wonderful year this year. I look forward to leading the organization for a longer period of time than I thought I might have, because it's important, I think, to make sure that this all continues. And I'm not ready to walk away from it at this point. So I think it's important to know that the longevity of the managers looks good. Each one of them is well placed, and for our foreseeable future, it looks pretty positive.
Well, I think people will be relieved to hear that you're in it for the long.
I'm in it always to win it, but I live here, so I'm not going anywhere. And right now, I need something to do during the day.
Well, you found plenty here.
I did.
Jim, appreciate you taking the time, and we'll sit down and talk again, and we'll chase down a couple of those managers when they got 3 minutes.
Let's do it. I appreciate it. Yeah, you too. Thank you.
And now it's time for our Up North moment, the part of the show that we like to just slow things down a little bit, just take a moment to appreciate the sights, sounds, and little moments that make Northern Michigan so special. Well, living here means sharing the outdoors with some incredible wildlife. And every once in a while, nature gives you a front row seat. Well, earlier this week, Bob captured a video of a mama bear and her 3 cubs playing right there in his backyard here at Lakes of the North. A great reminder that up north, sometimes the best entertainment isn't on TV. It's right outside your window. Here's a look at this week's Up North moment. One of the best parts of life here at Lakes of the North is all the creativity that exists throughout the community. From painting and photography to crafts and handmade creations, there's a tremendous amount of local talent. And events like the Lona Art Showcase give people a chance to share that creativity with their friends and neighbors. Earlier this week, we had the opportunity to sit down with Cheryl Oganowski and talk about the showcase, the arts involved, the artists, and well, why these kind of events are such an important part of bringing people together here at Lakes of the North. Here's our conversation with Cheryl. Well, it's not just, paint by numbers these days. There's actually a lot of art involved. And one of the highlight events of the year is the art showcase. And Cheryl, we just had it. I unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but talk a little bit about this year's event.
It was really wonderful. We had new artists as well as returning artists come. And then one of the important elements of that event is that we showcase all art forms and we accept and encourage all levels of arts learning. And so we had represented painting, we had fabric arts there in the form of quilts, an artist who paints sweatshirts with bleach and creates scenes on the back of the sweatshirt. We had watercolors, we had photography represented, we had culinary arts, including some very young culinary artists. We had a lemonade stand by, I believe she was 5, and we had pot cakes.
Sweet.
By a returning culinary artist who is now, I think, 8. But we also had members bring treats and put out who enjoy baking. And then we had performers as well. And I performed on my flute. That's my main instrument. And then we had a pianist. We had a poetry reading by our local poetress, Sue Allen, who is a published author and a member of Lakes of the North, and she did some poetry reading. And we had a trio of young high school girls come and do piano, guitar, and violin, and that was a huge hit. So all sorts of things there. And it was well attended.
So let me ask you, Cheryl, as far as, this year and how it compares to previous years, is this something that just continues to build year to year?
It has. The first year we had maybe 2 or 3 artists in there and 1 performer. And now we fill the clubhouse and we've gone down all the way to the end of the aisle, past the workout room. So it really has grown, and we've enjoyed seeing people come and just engage in community transactions with each other, coming in and seeing, oh, I didn't know that this person did that kind of painting. Oh, look at that friend of mine. That's my neighbor. And look what they've done. So it's an opportunity for people to just showcase what they've been working on. They don't have to put things up for sale, but they may. And then we had some artists from outside of Lakes of the North come in and set up a table and sell their items. And then they agree to give the Lakes of the North Arts Committee a portion of their sales. And then we also have a silent auction area with sometimes individuals who provide services or businesses from the area donate items that we put out. And then the funds that we raise from all of those events, those help to fund our concert series in the summer, because we hire quality musicians, and some groups are quite expensive. We had the Petoskey Steel Drum Band last year, and since there's so many kids and so many pieces of equipment and transportation, that we needed to build up our coffers in order to be able to bring them. But those funds go to the next event that we put on.
So it is it's easy to say, outside of the concert series, this is probably your biggest event of the year that you'll do. And I would imagine many hands, light work. How is the volunteer situation? I know some committees struggle to find volunteers. You seem to have a pretty solid cadre of folks, familiar faces that I see event to event, and we don't have to name a bunch of names, but talk a little bit about the volunteer effort that you see from maybe your committee, but also some of the folks outside of your committee who make this happen.
I am truly blessed to have so many people helping and take not only the work off, but the responsibility. And so we've had members of the committee, and it's not a large committee, maybe 6 or 8, depending on the time of year, who are, on the books and on our email group, but really wonderful people who are in it for helping out the community, and service is their, reason for being there. Not just their love of the arts and enjoying that, but enjoying the relationships that we've built not only with each other, but also throughout the community. And that was really the intention of starting this kind of a group was, it's easy to be complaining on Facebook or to your neighbors, but when we fill that void with something that's positive and something that brings people together, I think that serves the community really well. I'm a musician, and my husband and I do not snowmobile. We don't own a snowmobile. It's never been in our culture, although we've been skiers and we snowshoe. We were kind of looking, when we moved up here full time, we're kind of looking for our events. And Gary found his in community service. And then I remembered that in my elementary school, we had an event like this. And it was so much fun. Of course, the
Right.
PTA sponsored it, and there were many volunteers. But once I began, then the people came out of the woodwork, and we have enjoyed so much support. I would be remiss if I didn't also include the volunteers. In addition to the volunteers, Lakes of the North staff, they have been amazing in supporting us. Jim, of course, Jim Duffy has arranged. He was even there Saturday, asking if I wanted him to bring out the microphone and the speaker for any of our performers. He was there taking in all the artwork, and what he has allowed us to do is, use the clubhouse, use the driving range, and just have the path cleared for us. His support with his staff, the office staff, have been
Right.
amazing. We make copies of this trifold that lists our benefactors and then all of the events that are happening, and people can pick those up and know ahead of time and put on their calendar so they don't miss the next thing. So we're able to use that, and the office staff is, as everyone knows, wonderful. I mean, so skilled and so supportive. In addition is the maintenance staff, Daryl and his crew, set up for
Yeah.
the concert series. Do you want a tent? Yeah. Do you want a platform in there? Do you need that? You need a cord for plugging in the speakers. And then in addition to enjoying the chairs that everybody brings on their own underneath the natural shade of the tree, Jim had arranged in the last year to have the pavilion put in. Well, that provided a whole nother space for our audience members to sit and enjoy some shade and a beverage and a meal from settings. It's just been a great camaraderie and collaboration from the staff at Lakes of the North, as well as volunteers.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the pavilion. I'll be talking with Jim a little bit later, and we'll be talking some of the capital projects. And that was actually one that was not originally scheduled for as a project with regards to the survey that had been done a few years ago. But he'd been effective enough in getting things moving forward, and operations has done well enough that that they were able to add that. So it's good to hear. I mean, I've heard a lot of positive feedback on it. I actually remember walking through settings, talking with him about that project he had in mind, and so yeah, it's great to see that and hear that it's so well received and well used. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Like, you can maybe use that space too, even in the winter, with a little bit of an enclosure and some heat, a nice little spot to enjoy a cigar. I'm sure folks will do. And yeah, just great. And the beautiful golf course too, that Darren and his team maintained. Yeah, it's great. So it's interesting too, because you talked a little bit about Darren, and I know Ava is a big proponent for a lot of the things that happen there too. I mean, she's a relatively new manager on the team. We've got other managers that are relatively new, some people that have moved role since Jim's come on board, and I don't know if you share this opinion, and you don't have to, but I really feel like this is just a really solid team of people. And a couple of the things that I've tried to work with here in the community, you have a conversation with Jim, and it's like people are really eager to make that happen, and they're excited about putting in a little bit of sweat equity into a committee project and just kind of enjoying the community. And I don't know how you build that sort of thing, but I really dig the culture. So it's great to hear, that they're so involved in helping with the art showcase, and of course the concert. I mean, we'd be really in a tough spot without that kind of cooperation.
Yeah, you mentioned the culture, and that I've used that word as well in the office when I've come in to say, hey, thank you for doing this, for whatever little piece that that was put in place. Quickly they will say, oh, that's not me, that was Leah, or no, that was Michelle, and make sure that nobody takes credit for anybody else's work. They are definitely collaborative, and that kind of a culture really, when they support each other, it supports the whole community. And I wanted to mention too, at settings, last year we had, when we had our concert series, we had, at one time, we used the golf cart so that beverages could be enjoyed while the concert was going on. And then last year they used the new bar that was set up, and they shared their staff there to make sure that, we're drawing in some customers for them for meals before or after the concert series, and then make sure that the beverages are included there. So they've been wonderful, and we cannot pull off what we have without the kind of help and support. I've worked for other managers, and in my case, in education, it was principals and superintendents and school board members, and the important component in being a great manager is, rather than placing obstacles to goals, is to removing those obstacles, so that the energy that the donors, that the volunteers have, it's freed. And we have been fortunate and blessed to really experience that. Any obstacle that we see, let's see if we can fix that. And so it's been wonderful, and from the whole staff. Jim's management of them has really helped us a great deal.
Yeah, and it's what's ironic is Jim and I likely have something in common. We both appreciate the arts, and we both probably struggle with drawing stick figures. And as far as playing a note, I don't know if he does an instrument or not. I'll have to ask him the next time I talk to him. But yeah, probably flat would cover the description for any note that we're going to play in an instrument. So
there was
but
one
it doesn't hinder anybody. It doesn't hinder anybody from appreciating, what artists do. And I mean, it's kind of intimidating too. If you've never done it, you've got this hobby, so to speak, whether it's painting or drawing or photography or playing an instrument, it's got to be a little bit intimidating the first time to put that out there for public scrutiny.
Well, on that
what would you say to somebody who What would you say to somebody who's maybe, maybe one of those folks that's just teetering on the edge? They'd love to show their stuff off and maybe get some feedback. What would you say to them to get them over the edge and have them come next year?
Well, when I downhill ski and I stand at the top of the hill, intimidated, um, everyone is at one point a beginner in whatever endeavor you're trying. Um, I also wanted to encourage people to come into the clubhouse and try out the piano there. And Jill
Oh
was
yeah.
very instrumental in getting us the opportunity. We were able to, through our donors and donations, at the concerts, people drop in a 5 or a 10 because they didn't have to pay for a ticket. It's all free. But that adds up. And we were able to help purchase a piano for the clubhouse with Jim's support and help with that. And I want to encourage everybody to come and try that, because we also purchased headphones. And you plug into that piano and nobody knows how many mistakes you've made on there. It's all for you and it's for fun. And while we encourage children to come in and try that too, we do ask for parental observation and just, make sure that our investment is protected. But yeah, try the piano out and see how it goes. And with the showcase, that's why we set it up where it wasn't just a sales like a typical art fair, but it's also an exhibit opportunity. Right. And I've even exhibited some visual arts of multimedia painting that I did, even though I am not an artist and I have never had classes, but I had an idea and I wanted to try it out and I thought it said something and there was space. So I put it up there. This year we had, again, so many new people step up and say, well, I've been doing, pictures of my pets, or, oh, I have been trying out this quilting and I created a pattern that I think was fun. Just come and show it, not for sale, just to share love for doing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, as we kind of build this podcast, build it out or whatever, we've got a Facebook page for it and so forth. I would encourage any of those artists who want to share something. I mean, we could do a photo of the week or whatever and showcase that on the podcast page for sure. I mean, I guess I could start with one of my mutant stick figures and set the floor so that everybody else will feel.
Well, and we do have a Facebook page.
Oh, we can definitely step up.
Well,
we do, yeah, we sure do. So
Lakes of the North Arts, and we do have people who, occasionally share something up there. In fact, that's how it started. On one of the Facebook pages, I saw an artist putting his things up there, and then I thought, there's the art portion. I can do the music portion. Let's see if we can maybe create something, because, there's a lot of creativity, and we do have a couple of mud seasons where there's not a lot to do outside, and come out and pull out, dust off that instrument and pull out those paintbrushes and just have some fun.
Absolutely. Well, if there's ever anything we can share from your page, don't hesitate, because I can tell you in this house, we definitely appreciate the work that not only the artists put into, that's showcased every year, but the work that you and your volunteers and especially Jim and his team, not only with the showcase, but everything else that happens around here these days. I mean, we would be remiss if it wasn't for this sort of re-energized sense of community that's kind of come in place since he's gotten here. And it's great to see that the art showcase is a benefactor of that community energy and support. So Cheryl, I know we've got just a little bit of time left, and I don't want to get too far down in the weeds, but you mentioned one of your other big events, and it's really a series of events, and that's your concert on the green over at Settings, and we've got a great setup out there. Could I get you to come back at another time and we could talk about who you've got lined up? Are you still working through the wickets to get the scheduling done, or are you pretty well set?
We have 3 concerts. We start that early on because good artists are booked early. And so we do have all of our artists booked, and the dates I can give you right now. June 13 is our first one, and in those flyers that we have, we've got more details. So if you're interested in coming, come and to the clubhouse and pick up one of those folders and put that on your calendar.
Awesome. Well, we'll speak again, Cheryl, and hopefully get a chance to talk to some of your committee members. You've got some colorful characters there that are always, moving things forward for not just the Lakes of the North Arts Committee, but also just a lot of the community initiatives that we've got going on here. But this is definitely one of the big ones, Cheryl, and appreciate you taking a few moments to spend with us here and share the success you've had. And it's great to hear that this is something that seems to be a regular staple here at Lakes of the North. And that's going to do it for our very first episode of Our Lakes, Our Stories. We want to thank all of our guests, contributors, and everybody in the community who helped make this launch possible. The show really is about one thing. That's celebrating the people, the places, and the stories that make Lakes of the North feel like home. And this is just the beginning. In future episodes, we'll continue bringing you community updates, conversations with local leaders and residents, and feature stories, events, history, and those everyday up north moments that make living here so special. Most importantly, we want this to be a community-driven event. So if you have something you'd like to promote, a story to share, a local business or volunteer group that you'd like to spotlight, let us know. And if you've got some great outdoor video of the wildlife, please share that with us as well. Until next time, enjoy the weekend. Take in the fresh air and a little extra time appreciating everything that makes living up north so unique. Thanks for watching Our Lakes, Our Stories. We'll see you next time.